The second task in the mandate is to provide information. The CMLT can provide information and advice to the member congregations of its classes itself, and other interested parties, for instance, leadership development networks, concerning the candidacy process. As a CMLT member, this webpage will be your best friend. It's the Candidacy Forms and Resources page. Here you can find mentor and classes report forms and all the documents related to Minister of the Word and Commission Pastor candidate pathways. This is where you'll always be able to access the process guide and checklist documents for each pathway to ministry. These documents summarize the contents of all the decisions made by Synod about each route to ordination, and they outline a helpful step-by-step process. So as you prepare to be on the CMLT, you may want to take the time to read through some of the basic church order articles that pertain to candidacy pathways. Articles 6, 8, 10, 23, and 24, as well as the Commission Pastor Handbook and the Journey Towards Ordination document. You will find all of these documents linked on the Forms and Resources page. On that site, you'll also find helpful resources like a list of site providers, a list of training programs for commission pastors, and other supports for classes and for candidates. It will also be helpful to stay updated on the most current offerings at Calvin Theological Seminary. You may want to contact the admissions director there once a year just to stay current on all that they offer. And please know that I'm also just an email, phone call, or video call away, and I'm always delighted to support the CMLT members in any way that I can. I also host a CMLT Connect meeting over Zoom about every 6 months or so. And in those meetings, I'll give you updates on church order changes and invite you to discussion topics about current issues and current topics that pertain to candidacy. So make sure to keep your eye open for those invitations when they come. So the next question I was going to ask you is what sorts of information people look for from you. And I'm going to start with Keith this time because your classes have actually put together some documents that are, the process for a license to exhort and all the different things you might want to think about, and some questions, and commission pastor, and you gave us that document, and we reworked it a little bit, just took out Classes Wisconsin with their permission and put it on the website so others can use, but that's been really helpful, and I know your class is usually really good with providing information. What were some of the other maybe forms of information that you find yourself sharing?
It would be, information about different pathways to serve. We had a gentleman in one of our churches who has some interest in ministry, been leading some services at nursing homes, and wondering, what the next step might be. And so in his case, it was learning a little bit about his situation, and then, he doesn't have a bachelor's degree, so what might be the options for him, and then passing that information along. And he's now in a training program, and doing well with that. But yeah, those process guides have been helpful in, you have an initial conversation with the person that's perhaps interested in taking that next step in ministry, or with their pastor, and you kind of introduce things, give an overview, but then I also have something I can email them. And it kind of lays things out, and that's helpful. And we've had a couple of people inquire about a license to exhort, and they feel like maybe they're ready for it, and we talk it through, and certainly they have some interest and some gifts and something to offer, but sending that document and being able to talk through that, they see the process that's involved, and they also kind of get a sense of how much we value preaching and biblical preaching in the CRC. And all of the standards are in there. The questions they might be asked at a classical exam are in there. And giving them that information at the front end has been helpful. And some have dug in and said, I'll do the learning and what's necessary to move in this direction. And others have maybe shied away a little bit and realized that maybe it's not for them at this point. So it's been helpful in that sense too.
That's great.
in addition to documents and processes and sending the same hyperlinks over and over again, a lot of times once you know where they are, in terms of information, I think something I'm finding we are doing is making introductions. So connecting people. Who is so Susan, like introducing you to people who are interested in candidacy. Or also, we have a lot of people coming in to our classes who are new to the CRC. So introducing them to people who could become mentors, or people who maybe not even in our classes, but are other, colleagues or ministers that I know in other areas who we're connected to, just to create more connective tissue, I think, between who this person is and their web of relationships into the denomination.